Good morning, Commissioners. District 1, District 2, District 2,
She's here.
Present.
District 3,
Present.
District 4 vacant, District 5,
Present.
District 6,
Present.
District 7, District 7, District 8, District 9, District 9, District 10, District 10, District 11, District 11, District 12, absent, District 13,
Present.
District 14, District 14,
She's online.
okay, and place 15.
I'm here.
You have quorum, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Commissioners. Today is Thursday, December 7th, 2023, 9:59 a.m. Welcome to the briefing of the Dallas City Plan Commission. Commissioners, we have a lot to get to. Just a couple of quick announcements. The Forward Dallas update we're going to do as a working lunch. So hopefully we're going to punt that back to around noon. We do have a lot of cases to get through, so we're going to keep it at a brief pace here, a little quick pace. I know that staff was kind enough to send out all the presentations ahead of time. That was very helpful. Those are all on the website online. And we're going to go ahead and get started with case number 2 and Dr. Utrecht.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go quickly over the presentation for case number 2. Z212352 is a renewal of an existing SUP 1898 for a late hours establishment limited to a general merchandise or food store, not feed store, 3,500 square feet or less, and a motor vehicle fueling station that's located on Greenville and Richmond Avenue in PD number 842, and it's approximately 038 acres. It's in East Dallas. As I was saying, this is the aerial map. The corner of the major streets is surrounded by restaurants, multifamily a little bit behind, or to the east of the site, coffee shop and a big grocery store across. On the zoning map, it's right within PD 842. It already has an SUP. There are similar SUPs across the street and further south. And then there is a PD 167 that allows multifamily to the east. This PD defaults to CR, community retail, but in addition to a CR regulations, it also requires for businesses or operations that are operating between midnight and 6 a.m. an SUP and calls them late hours establishments. This SUP was established in 2011, December, for a 5-year period. It had auto renewals. They didn't submit in time. It was auto renewed once, and then they didn't submit in time, and they came in February 2022. They were approved for 1 year. Therefore, they're in front of us today.
Just one quick little pause. Commissioner Kingston, we are holding this case, is that correct? We are. January 18th. So then let's just go ahead and we'll go to questions on this case, Commissioners. We're going to hold this case to January 18th, 2024. Any questions on this item?
I do have a
Please,
question
Commissioner
about, Mr. Dre, about the recommendation. Is this supposed to be subject to a revised site plan, an amended site plan and amended conditions?
Yes, Commissioner Carpenter, thank you. I have it posted here, just to not forget to do it while I brief. Yes, we revised a little bit the site plan to update the table, but no other changes, and then obviously the conditions to change the time frame.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we'll go to case number 3. Thank you, Dr. Utrecht. No, Commissioners, while we wait for our planner, cases 2, 4, 6, 13, and 16 have come off consent at this point. That's 2, 4, 6, 13, 16. We'll go to case number 3. 246-1316. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to try to adjust this because it's too tall. This is case number Z223-235. This is a renewal for a specific use permit number 2019 for a bar, lounge, tavern, and inside commercial amusement limited to a live music venue. This is a location map and it is located in Deep Ellum. Outlined in blue is the location on the area map. This is the zoning map. It's surrounded by mixed-use developments, personal services, and medical uses. Again, this is the specific use permit 2019. It was approved on August the 12th, 2020 for a 3-year period, and it allows the following uses: a bar, lounge, tavern, and inside commercial amusement limited to a live music venue. It expired on August the 12th, 2023. The applicant applied for the renewal of the SUP on March the 21st, 2023. And the applicant requests the renewal of SUP number 2019 for a 3-year period to continue the use of the property as a bar, lounge, or tavern, and inside commercial amusement limited to live music venue. Except for the time limit, the applicant does not propose any changes to the existing conditions or site plan of SUP number 2019. The next few slides will be pictures of the subject site and the surrounding sites. This is 2640 Elm Street, and I'm looking directly across the street. This is a surrounding use next door, and it does appear to be vacant. This is a notification sign that they had properly placed out front. This is surrounding uses on Elm Street, and I'm facing Good Latimer. Also surrounding uses on Elm Street. Surrounding uses on Elm Street. And this is directly across the street. These is the uses next door as well. And these are the specific use conditions. Ryan, do I need to go into detail about those? Okay. That's the site plan, and again, nothing about it changed. And staff recommend approval for a 3-year period subject to amended conditions.
Thank you very much. Any questions, commissioners? Thank you so much. We'll go to case number 4. We have a welcome first.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I did want to sort of reintroduce one of our new senior planners. This is Laquan Clinton's first time presenting to CPC. We actually have 2 new planners today, so everyone please go out of your way to make him feel welcome. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Mr. Clinton. We all look forward to working with you, sir.
Good day, Commissioners. How you doing?
Great. Good morning.
This is case Z223241, and it is an application for a specific use permit renewal, SUP 1695, renewal for commercial property zone PD located on corner of intersection at Canton Street, South Exposition Ave, with Commerce Street being a cross street. This SUP renewal is for property to maintain bar, lounge, or tavern and live music venue use, and it's approximately 5,000 square feet in size. Here's our location map. Here's our zoom-in aerial. A brief zoning map. To the north, we have commercial retail. To the east, also commercial retail. Pretty much the surrounding neighborhood is commercial retail under PD 269, excuse me. Again, currently zoned under PD 269. This lot has frontage on Canton Street and South Exposition Ave. The applicant proposes no other changes to the land use or the site plan. Here, we're going to go through a few site visit photos. This is on property, South Exposition Ave looking northeast. This is on Canton Street looking northeast. This is also on property looking east, directly adjacent. This is on property looking southwest. Here we are on South Exposition Ave looking northwest. Also on South Exposition Ave looking southeast. Here is their existing site plan. Again, no changes are being proposed. The staff recommendation is approval for a 5-year period with eligibility for automatic renewal.
Thank you very much. Questions, Commissioners? Commissioner Hampton.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clinton, for the presentation. 2 questions. I didn't see any crime statistics in our case file. Were those received by staff?
Yes, crime statistics were received.
Okay, and I apologize. Did I overlook them, or I don't see them in the case report?
I can get those sent out. They should have been in the case report, so my apologies for that.
Okay, and then in your site review and consideration of this request, there's some residential properties that are just to the south of this, and there's a lot of coming residential development. Is the recommendation for automatic renewals, was that a factor in your consideration?
No, so I did take a look at the upcoming residential uses to the south of the site. However, the recommendation for automatic renewal was based on previous approvals.
Okay, so I think it was originally, I think a 3-year, we had another 3-year, the most recent one was 5. And so you just feel like they've had a track record. So that goes with the current owner, but as this renewal will go with the land, if we had a new operator, is there anything that was considered, again, knowing that this use and this approval will go with the land, even if there was a future change in operator, was that anything that was considered?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part?
Well, it's just that the approval goes with the land, not the operator. So the operator clearly has a demonstrated, good operation, being a good neighbor, engaged with the community. However, there's no guarantee that they will continue to be here through the duration of the SUP.
No, so everything so my recommendation was solely based on land use, not necessarily the operator. But again, giving the previous approvals, that kind of actually helped with the recommendation for this case, or for the renewal.
Okay, well, I believe the applicant will be here, and I'll ask them some additional questions. Thank
Sure.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions, Commissioners? And again, this case has come off consent, what we heard individually. Thank you very much, Mr. Clinton.
Thank
Let's go to case number 5. Mr. Mulkey.
And yeah, just wanted to reintroduce Martin Bate. He's one of our other new senior planners that will be presenting for the first time today.
Good morning and welcome, Mr. Bate.
Good morning, Commission. My name is Martin Bate, and I'm presenting case Z223-242. This is an amendment for specific use permit number 2421 for commercial amusement inside, limited to a Class A dance hall on property zone Plan Development District number 498, the Harry Hines Corridor Special Purpose District. It is located on the northwest corner of Harry Hines Boulevard and Joe Field Road, and is approximately 4,900 square feet in size. Here's our location map showing it in the far northwestern section of the city. The aerial map here, you can see that it's part of a larger development that includes a lot of sort of warehouse-looking type buildings. In this particular case, it occupies a suite on this building here, highlighted in blue. The zoning map, as we see it, is PD 498 throughout the area. That IR there is there erroneously. The majority of the uses surrounding the property, both on the site itself and then across from the road, are largely office showroom / warehouse uses and warehouse uses. It seems like a lot of sort of wholesale type stores. There's some electronics and clothing type shops. Again, all wholesale that fall under these office showroom / warehouse uses. The property is currently developed with a dance hall, and the request site is an existing one-story building with 4,900 square feet of floor area. City Council previously approved SUP number 2421 for a 2-year period for a commercial amusement inside, limited to a Class A dance hall on August 11th, 2021. The SUP expired on August 11th, 2023, and they filed for amendment on March 29th of this year. And so they are requesting the amendment of this SUP for a 2-year period to continue operation of the dance hall. The applicant does not propose any changes to existing conditions or the site plan of SUP number 2421. Here we are on Joe Field Road looking north towards the subject site that is there on the left part of the photo. And then further off from the subject site, looking north, we see more of the property overall and how it appears. Here we are looking west on the property itself, and then looking west on Joe Field Road. Here we are looking east on the property, and then on Joe Field Road looking east. Across from the property looking south. This is the existing site plan for the area overall. It's a little hard to see, but where my cursor is currently, right above that, that's where the SUP would apply for the dance hall. And staff's recommendation is an approval for 2-year period, subject to amended conditions.
Thank
I'll
you,
open it up
sir.
for questions.
Questions, Commissioners? Okay, no questions on this item. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Keep moving, Commissioners, to case number 6 and back to Mr. Clinton. Again, number 6 has come off consent and will be heard individually.
All right, this is case Z223245. Termination of deed restrictions Z978150 and Z190168 on property zone commercial service located on corner of South Fitzhugh Avenue and Haskell Avenue. Approximately 34,000 square feet in size. Here's our location map. Here's a zoom in aerial of the site. Here is our zoning map We have single-family uses to the north of the site, general merchandise, commercial retail to the west, and single-family as well as multifamily to the south of the site. A brief background on this case, it's currently zoned commercial service under the D restriction Z978150. Area of request is, applicant proposes a vehicle or engine repair or maintenance on the site. These D restrictions were originally approved September 8th, 1999, and restrict the uses to those permitted in a CR, community retail district, plus a machinery, heavy equipment, or truck sales and service use, with operating hours between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. All other uses permitted in a standard CS district were prohibited by these deed restrictions. D restriction Z190168 was approved May 27, 2020 to terminate one of the conditions from D restriction Z978150, which was the removal of the 40-foot setback from the northeastern property line. The applicant requests the termination of the existing D restrictions Z978150 and Z190168 to operate under the standard regulations of a CS commercial service district. Here we have some site visit photos. This is on Fitzhugh Avenue looking northeast. On Fitzhugh Avenue looking southeast. Looking southeast again. This is on Fitzhugh Avenue looking southwest. Southwest again. On Fitzhugh Avenue looking northwest. Staff recommendation is approval of the termination of D restrictions Z978150 and Z190168 as volunteered by the applicant.
Thank you, sir. Questions? Commissioner Hampton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Clinton, do you know if there was any community outreach on this request?
Yes, I believe so. Notifications were sent out prior to, this case is actually, has been a little, I would say, convoluted. And there have been some issues previous to it being assigned to me. But to my knowledge, there was a notification sent out, yes.
So those would be the property owner notifications, but there's, I think as you noted, a single-family residential directly, I'm going to call it north of the site. Mm-hmm. It directly abuts, residential, zoning and use that's on the ground today. Mm-hmm. I will say I reached out to the applicant and I haven't been able to be in touch with them. Mm-hmm. And to my knowledge, the community, Jubilee Park is quite active, that they didn't receive any information on the request. So do you know if that community level, not just the public notices, may have happened?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. And in the discussion with the applicant, was there any consideration of amending the deed restrictions to address this change in use versus removing the deed restrictions?
Yes, there was conversation regarding amending it. The applicant was adamant about terminating it because of the specific use that he is requesting. Okay. And was there any consideration in your review because of that direct residential adjacency? It's property line to property line. There's not an alley separation. Mm-hmm. There's not any other buffer that's evident other than the masonry fence. Mm-hmm. Between the two uses. Was that anything that, staff had other recommendations to the applicant or considerations that this body should be aware of? Absolutely. So that was actually the first thing that I brought up. The applicant would have to ensure that the property was meeting certain requirements, setbacks, buffers, et cetera, that fall under the CS district. And I recommended to the applicant that they come to the meeting with those specific recommendations that they would uphold if the D restrictions were removed.
Okay, so do you anticipate they may be here at today's meeting?
Honestly, I can't speak to that.
Okay, well, hopefully we will see them here. As I said, I have not been successful in getting a response, so thank you, Mr. Chair.
No problem.
Thank you. Commissioner Carpenter.
Yes, Mr. Clinton, I mean, the deed restrictions that exist at least give the adjoining neighborhoods some protections from, a great many of the heavy commercial uses allowed in a straight zoning straight zoning category of CS. Removing the deed restrictions and allowing a straight zoning change would open up the use of that property to any of the by right uses. Do you generally consider it to be good land use policy to have CS zoning abutting residential?
As long as the applicant is able to uphold the requirements that CS district for that property fall under, then I believe it is good practice. I spoke with the applicant. He assured me that the specific use that he is going for will not be detrimental in any way to the adjacent residential uses. Again.
Now, I understand your point. My concern is just that, regardless of the specific use that the applicant says he's intending to do, a straight zoning change enables all the uses allowed in a heavy commercial district, going forward. And there are a great many of them that involve heavy machinery, diesel particulates, that sort of thing, that give me concern about adjacency with a residential neighborhood. So I guess my question is, there was no discussion of any additional restriction. Well, never mind. I think you answered the question earlier when you said he was averse to any modification of the deed restrictions. Thank you.
No problem.
I would also add that all of the other property along this stretch of Haskell, both on the north and the south side, is zoned a straight CS district today. And that zoning does abut immediately R5A, MF2A, existing residential districts and uses. This is the only property along the stretch of Haskell that is deed restricted from more than what the CS district allows.
I do understand that, but are you aware that we spent a great deal of time in the Comprehensive Land Use Committee talking about how to address incompatible adjacencies in residential and heavy commercial are one of the prime examples?
I am now.
Thank you.
Any other questions, commissioners? Thank you, sir. We'll stay with Mr. Clinton, go to case number 7.
All right, this is case Z223246, an application for a general zoning change to a residential property zone R1AC located on the north line of Park Lane between Preston Road and Douglas Ave. The zoning change requested is from R1AC to R16 pursuant to the terms of section 51A4.100, and it's approximately 34,000 square feet in size. Here's our location map, geographically located in North Dallas. Here is our aerial map. And here's our zoning map. The surrounding uses, as you can see, they're all R1AC. Again, currently zoned R1AC. For single-family residents with a minimum lot area of 1 acre. The lot has frontage only on Park Lane. The proposed use is for the property to remain single-family residential and just change from the R1AC to R16. Here we have site photos. This is on Park Lane looking north. We're on Park Lane looking west. This is Park Lane looking east. This is Park Lane looking south. Here we have a comparison of development standards for the existing R1AC district and the proposed R16 district. Staff recommendation is approval.
Questions, Commissioners? Yes, sir, Commissioner Hall.
Yeah, Mr. Clinton, thank you for all the email exchanges we've been doing the past few days. This case really has me sort of puzzled about why anybody would want to. The owner has 2 lots, adjacent lots. They're both zoned 1 acre. There's an 8,400 square foot house on one. There's a basketball court on the other. Is there any speculation about why they want to rezone to R16?
I think the speculation to the zoning change is to fit the lot acreage that is also similar to some of the surrounding lots. My guess is, but again, this is speculation, they want to combine the lots, possibly replat later, or combine the lots to be able to do any type of additions to the home at a later date.
Yeah, I could see wanting to replat it to make it, 1 lot. Would they be allowed to build another house on the? They would be allowed to build another house adjacent to them, I guess, because they own the 2 lots. And until it's replatted into 1, I guess maybe they wouldn't. But just sort of fuzzy to me about what the owner really wants. It seems to me an odd request. I could see requesting that it be replatted into 1 big lot, but not changing the zoning from 1 acre to R16. I don't know. Maybe somebody knows that there's an advantage to doing that. Okay.
Yeah, this might be one that if you did want to hear from the applicant, it could be taken off consent. I'm actually interested to hear what they have to say as well.
Well, this case just popped up. I mean, I hadn't heard about it until a few days ago when it popped up on the agenda. So I've had a chance to go by a couple of times and look at the properties, but I've not talked to the owners or to their representative, which is a surveying firm, not a consulting company. So to me, there's just some mystery about it. I just don't quite understand what's going on here, and I'm a little bit afraid about what could happen, but maybe nothing. I don't know.
Commissioner Hall, would you like to take it off consent?
Yes, I think I
Okay,
would.
let's do that.
Chair,
Yes,
can I
Vice
ask
Chair
a
Rubin.
couple quick follow-up
Please.
questions? So these 2 lots total roughly 34,000 square feet, right? Which is less than 1 acre. Is that right?
That's correct.
So if this is zoned R1 acre and they replatted, it would have a lot of less than 1 acre. Would that be a legal build site after that replatting?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, I mean, if they replatted this into a single lot, it would be a lot of less than 1 acre. Would that be a legal build site after replatting?
If the rezoning to R16 were approved, then it would be a legal build site based on the minimum lot size of R16.
But if the rezoning were not approved and we had a 34,000 square foot lot, or they just never came in for the rezoning and it was still zoned R1 acre, would it be a legal build site?
It would not meet the minimum lot size requirement.
So do you think what they're trying to do here is replat to, build something that crosses the existing property line, but
yeah, that's correct. So currently the property is 2 separate lots. It's possible, we don't really confirm non-conforming uses or structures here. That's done at Development Services. But it's possible that there may be some non-conforming structures on the area of request today. And it's also possible that they are requesting the rezoning to R16 in order to add new structures or expand existing structures, things that wouldn't be permitted if this was a non-conforming use.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mulkey.
Thank you.
Commissioner Blair.
And following up with what Vice Chair Rubin was saying, it appears as though this would be going through a replat process. My question would be, is this, well, I guess that's a question for the applicant, but this seems to be that if they do try to replat it, it would then, well, without, I guess I don't know, I can't formulate my question right now, and I don't know how.
I think that's kind of where I'm at. I think that's where most of us are at with this request. I think this is a conversation that could be kind of rounded out with contributions from the applicant. And I will just remind the commission, we can't get too much into subdivision stuff with the zoning case. I understand there's some considerations here, but yeah, I get you.
Hopefully the applicant will be here this afternoon. If not, Commissioner Hall, you could always hold it. But there are no registered speakers on this item, so hopefully the applicant will be here. Commissioner Hampton.
Just one point of clarification. In our notification, it's page 711 of the case report. It appears we have the property listing for an earlier case. Can the corrected notification list be distributed?
Yes, that actually was sent out earlier this week.
This morning?
Correct.
So,
Not this morning. It was sent out earlier this week, I believe. No,
okay,
a
do I
day
have
or
an
two
email
ago.
with it?
Email, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Carpenter.
I just have a clarification, because I asked the same question before the hearing, and the email, I was forwarded a copy of that email, but it was not distributed to the commissioners. It went to various staff members. So the whole commission has not seen it.
Okay, we can get that out to you.
Thank you so much. We look forward to getting that. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, so this case has come off consent and will be heard individually. We'll go to case number 8. And Ms. Garza, good morning.
Good morning. Item number 8 is case Z223254. The request is an application for an MU3 mixed-use district on property zoned a CR Community Retail District. It is located on the northeast corner of South Lancaster Road and Simpson Stewart Road. It's approximately 0.3229 acres. So this is where it's located. The aerial of the site, and then surrounding uses is undeveloped to the north and towards the west. There is a church on the south across Simpson Stewart, and then there's single family towards the northeast. The area request is currently developed with a structure and is Zone CR Community Retail District. The applicant is proposing to repurpose the vacant building for multifamily use. They are proposing to develop approximately 18-unit studio apartments, thus they are requesting an MU3 mixed-use district. These are some of the site photos. On site, looking towards the northwest, towards the northeast, towards the east, towards the west again, again towards the west, south, surrounding uses, on site looking southwest, towards the south, towards the west, towards the northwest, again, towards the north, towards the east, looking southeast. And these are some of the standards. The existing SCR, and then they are proposing MU3. And then the site is within the UNT Dallas area plan. The site is within the residential area on the northeast corner of South Lancaster Road and Simpson Stewart Road, approximately a quarter mile from the Camp Wisdom Dart Station. The concept plan envisions the land use type to be urban mixed-use development to allow for a mix of land uses and building types that are generally located around the transit stations. The applicant's request is consistent with the goals and policies of the UNT Dallas area plan. And staff is recommending approval.
Thank you so much. Questions, Commissioner Blair?
Good morning. I have several questions. On the frontage road of Lancaster, which would be considered the front, correct? Will there be the requirement to have the 5-foot green space before a sidewalk? And has that been considered at this point in time?
So I know I did speak with Phil, our arborist. He did mention that if they are proposing to renovate and reuse the property, it will not trigger any landscaping. However, if they decide to later on demolish the whole entire, and do a new construction, then that is when the Article 10 would apply with a residential agency to the east as well.
But would that be a departure from our standard that whenever we have anything that we bring it, we do have the standard of the 5-foot green, especially when it's on a road, especially Lancaster is not considered a road, but a state highway. So it's monitored, managed by TxDOT. And would that then not trigger the need to have the buffering, the sidewalk, before you have the setback, for lack of a better way of putting it?
I'm not aware.
Then I guess that would be for Mr. Navarez. Can you help us out a minute, Mr. Navarez? And you may want to, if you need to bring your laptop, you may want to stay for a minute. Okay, please. Okay. Then let me see if Ms. Garza, if I have additional questions. I also see that it is targeted for 18 units. But there's only parking spots for 16. Are there any benefits being given to the applicant in order to change the ratio for parking in dwelling units?
So if the applicant provides affordable units as a part of the development, the off-street requirement for multifamily is 0.5 spaces per dwelling unit, and at least 15% of the required parking must be available for guest parking. This would be the minimum number of required spaces. The applicant could still provide additional spaces in excess of the required minimum.
So I'm sorry, you read that real quickly. Can you slow down a little bit?
Sorry. So if the applicant provides affordable units as part of the development, the off-street parking requirement for multifamily is 0.5 spaces per dwelling unit.
Are you aware that that because this is targeted strictly for UNTD, and there will be no affordable units being requested? The whole thing is in alignment with what UNTD will require as rent. So there won't be anything. So would that then not mean that their parking space to dwelling units is not in alignment with city standards?
Correct. So this is just a general zoning. However, when they start doing the building permits, then at Development Services, they will need to comply with regulations of the MU3 district.
Okay. Yeah, yes, sir? So if Mr. Navarez is ready.
Good morning, Commission. David Navarez, Transportation Development Services. The question is whether or not the project would trigger upgrades in the public right-of-way. Can you rephrase? Yes, is that a correct statement? The site is not a platted lot, but it's a buildable site. And because it's a general zoning case, we didn't add details in our review comments in that, they can come in to you now letting you know what they're proposing, but there's nothing that requires them to do anything other than what would be allowed in an MF district. Is that MU3? Thank you. And so from what I see and what it has been proposed, they would trigger parking requirements. So that's one thing that would set a domino effect, where the next step would be then to resurface their parking lot to comply with those requirements. From there, then we move on to the requirement for a buildable site. They would have to replat the site to one lot, and then also in there, the commission has the ability to add conditions to the plat. But also, even if that was not the case, the only purpose of resurfacing their parking lot would trigger full engineering. In that case, then they would have to comply with city standards, which include location of driveways and design of sidewalks.
Well, with you saying location of driveways, thank you for going along my next train of thought. I noticed that there's a curb cut, which is less than 100 feet from the corner. And there's two curb cuts on the State Highway Lancaster. Would the first curb cut right there on the corner create a hazard, or would there not need to be re-engineering of that curb cut?
The concept of traffic hazard is subjective, so I'll stay to city standards for purposes of answering my question. You're correct that the site would have to comply with driveways 100 feet from the intersection, and we would then have to relocate. I'm eyeballing the location of that one driveway. It would have to be either relocated to meet the 100 distance. However, this is a TxDOT jurisdiction, so TxDOT would also have to weigh in and participate in our review. Typically, TxDOT will never sign off on something that the city disagrees with. That's a general practice, that there's no protocol, but traditionally in all work that we've done with TxDOT, they follow city's review, and then we sign as the requester, even though this would be a private development. The form signs the City of Dallas as the requester for any work in public right in their jurisdiction. I'm of the strong opinion that when this project develops, their driveway that is closest to the intersection would have to be closed and relocated.
Okay, when it comes down to this particular corridor, where Camp Wisdom and Simpson Stewart meet, because this is where Simpson Stewart starts and Camp Wisdom ends. Mm-hmm. And I am aware that UNTD will have shuttle service from the campus to this location for the students. This is strictly or let me say, did you know that this location was strictly to house international students for UNTD? And saying that the chances that these students have cars are probably slim to none, but that there will need to be consideration of foot traffic to DART. So with that being asked, can you share how the traffic calming processes that are already in place would impact this development? And I know that's a big question.
Yes, ma'am, and that's an announcement to our ZOAC members for what the parking work is doing, introducing transportation demand management review. No, ma'am, I was not aware, and regretfully, I was invited but not able to attend a neighborhood meeting for the zoning change. I was not aware of the details of what is being proposed here, but that's essentially what we would be discussing at permitting. We ask, what are your proposed plans and operations? That would be a conversation at permitting.
Commissioner Blair, you would like to take this off consent?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's take it off consent, and we'll...
And I will leave the rest of the questions for the applicant.
Okay.
Well, but the one other thing that I do know, and I have for you guys, for staff, I know it's probably more for you, Mr. Navarez, the direct access to DART, because this would be a very DART-centric site if the residents don't have transportation other than DART, and there's only one DART station there. There is no sidewalk, which means on Camp Wisdom going towards Patrol Way, which goes to the DART station. I know we don't typically request an applicant to provide sidewalks outside of their buildable area. Has city considered the impacts to the development in this particular area and the lack of sidewalks, which means foot traffic walks in the street on Camp Wisdom in order to get to DART?
But you said that the city does not require sidewalks outside of their private property. But no, the sidewalks will be required to be upgraded to city standards if and when this property is developed. And sidewalks would be all within public right-of-way or through by means of easements if there is not enough space to comply with the dimensions of the required standards.
And then the last question is, thank you very much, Mr. Navarez. My last question is for Ms. Garza. Ms. Garza, did you get and I apologize that it was late, but my community meeting was not held until, because I didn't know, it wasn't held until Tuesday. There were volunteer deed restrictions that prohibited a lot of uses that MU would allow. Were you aware of those additional restrictions?
Yes, I did receive the email where the applicant is proposing to provide deed restrictions to the uses. Yes.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that you did get them. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I did.
Any other questions, Commissioner Hall?
Was this property originally a motel or was it an apartment complex?
It was originally a motel, I believe.
So very small rooms, like you say now, a dormitory perhaps, but.
They will be considered boutique studio apartments.
Okay.
If this is the old, if anyone knows the history, this is the old Apollo Motel that has a whole lot of history. So the desire from a development standpoint for the historical value is not to tear it down, but to repurpose it. And now the challenge is retrofitting a new use into an old building.
Any other questions, Commissioners? Commissioner Carpenter?
Ms. Garza, the base density of units for MU3 is 50 per acre, is that correct? Because my question is, can they even get to 18 units on 0.32 acres at 50 per acre? They would have to get 18, you'd have to do mixed income housing, affordable housing.
I believe MU3 does not have a max density. It has no dwelling unit density.
Go ahead, I can't.
Ms. Garza, if I may, MU3 has no dwelling unit density in Chapter 51A, but MU3 SAAH does. And so this would just be MU3 and then utilizing, well, I guess they wouldn't necessarily have to utilize MIHDB.
Correct.
Okay, correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for the clarification. Any other questions, Commissioners? We'll keep moving. Go to case number 9. Back to Mr. Clinton, getting his exercise in, walking in back from the podium. So thin. Yeah. Just looking out for you, sir.
All right, this is case Z223261. This is an application for a general zoning change on property zone CR Community Retail District located on northeast corner of intersection at Dennison Street and Vilbig Road, approximately 5,700 square feet in size. Here's our location map. Here's our aerial map. And this is our zoning map. As you can see, surrounding uses are single family with pockets of CR district. Geographically, this site is located in West Dallas, again, currently zoned CR for community retail. It is a corner lot, so it has frontage on both Dennison Street and Vilbig Road. The applicant proposes the property be rezoned to residential, and they are requesting a general zoning change. Here we have site visit photos. This is on Vilbig Road looking north. This is on Vilbig Road looking east. Here we're on Dennison Street looking south. This is on the corner of Dennison Street and Vilbig Road looking southwest. Here we're on Vilbig Road looking south. Here we are on Vilbig Road looking north. We're on Vilbig Road looking west. This is directly adjacent to the site. We're on site looking east. Here is a brief development standards comparison, looking at the existing CR district and the proposed R5 district. Staff recommendation is approval.
Thank you, sir. Questions, Commissioners? Commissioner Carpenter.
Mr. Clinton, are you aware that this is probably the easiest case in District 6 you're ever going to see?
I hope so.
Thank you very much.
It's not true. There'll be another one in 2 weeks. Any other questions, Commissioners? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Clinton. Don't go too far.
Thank you.
Back to Mr. Bate. Number 10, District 7.
Hello, Commissioners. This is case Z223-262. This case is for the amendment of specific use permit number 1691 for bar, lounge, or tavern on property zone sub-district Tract A within Planned Development District number 269, the Deep Elm/Near East Side District. The property is located on the southwest line of Exposition Avenue, east of Ash Lane, and is approximately 3,500 square feet in size for the request area. Here on our location map, we see it right there, deep in the heart of Dallas. Aerial map shows its position along Exposition Avenue. As we see, it has some surface parking lots surrounding it, and then various uses to the right and north, or to the east and north. The immediately surrounding uses, as I said, there are surface parking lots surrounding it, a personal service use immediately adjacent to it. Across from it, there's a sort of a mixed development, largely office, showroom, warehouse, and offices as well. The property is currently developed with a bar tavern. The request site is an existing one-story bar with 3,550 square feet of floor area and a 2,950 square foot uncovered patio. The City Council approved the renewal of SUP 1691 for a 3-year period for the bar, lounge, or tavern use on October 13th, 2020. The SUP expired on October 13th of this year, and the applicant filed for renewal on May 30th of this year. As I mentioned, they're requesting amendment of this SUP for a 3-year period to continue the sale of alcoholic beverages on the property with this bar, lounge, tavern use. And they do not propose any changes to the existing conditions or the site plan of SUP 1691. On Exposition Avenue, looking to the west-northwest, away from the property, then looking north away from the property, looking east down Exposition Avenue, looking southeast, that black door area to the right of the photo, that is the subject property. And then in the center of the photo, that is that personal service use that I highlighted in the zoning map. Looking south directly at the property. And then southwest, we see where the property extends out towards the west. And way far in the background of the photo is the surface parking that I mentioned. This is the existing site plan for the development. There are no changes proposed. And staff recommendation is approval for a 3-year period, subject to amended conditions.
Thank you, sir. Questions? Commissioner Carpenter.
Yes, Mr. Bate. We got an email describing a number of issues at this particular location, and parking was one of them. And the person who wrote in suggested that this location had recently lost some available parking that they'd previously had through a remote agreement. And I know your report references a parking agreement in place. Do you know if that is still the case? Is there a way to confirm that?
Regarding that, I have made my best efforts in order to confirm that. I have requested from the applicant a copy of their lease agreement. They have indicated in an email that they do have an existing agreement with a remote parking offsite. Unfortunately, they have not produced that lease agreement after repeated requests, and I can't speak to whether that agreement does in fact exist on paper.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Hampton.
Thank you. I noted this is in the Deep Ellum Special Purpose District. They have a very active stakeholder group. Have you had any outreach or communication with the Deep Ellum Foundation on this request?
I personally have not done any outreach or communication with the group. I did receive an email from a citizen, which I believe was circulated to the commission earlier this week, who did express concerns regarding the property in terms of, we could say, nuisances and crime, and also that property or that parking problem that was mentioned. From a land use perspective, I do think that the bar fits the overall character of the area. These other concerns that have been raised by the citizens and by the stakeholders, they may not necessarily pertain directly to the land use question, but nevertheless are worth being discussed with the applicant later.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Wheeler.
Are you aware that they use some of the parking that is adjacent to the fair, that is in close proximity to the fair park that are remote parking lots?
Sorry, could you repeat the question one more time?
Are you aware that they use, that some of the patrons use the remote parking lots that are commercial parking lots that are in close proximity to the fair park?
I was not aware of that, no.
Okay. They do.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner Rubin, please.
Yeah, just a quick question on the site plan. We have the new website, so I don't know where to find plans and plats like I used to be able to find that. I'm sure I'll find that at some point soon. But I see a note at the very top of the site plan next to the outdoor patio. Is that note just saying that the area of request for the site plan is simply the building, the patio, and not the two parking lots next door?
Could you repeat the last part of the question, please?
Yeah, sure. The site plan shows two parking lots plus the building plus the patio. Is the area of request for the site plan itself simply the building and the patio?
Yes, it is the building.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, commissioners? Okay. Thank you, sir. We'll keep moving to case number 11. Pardon me? Just for review, commissioners, as Mr. Clinton is getting set up, cases off consent are cases numbers 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 13, 16.
All right, this is case Z223264. An amendment of specific use permit number 2349 for the sale of alcoholic beverages in conjunction with a general merchandise or food store, 3,500 square feet or less on property zone subdistrict 2 within Plan Development District number 535, the CF Hahn Special Purpose District number 3 with a D1 liquor control overlay. This site is located at the northeast corner of CF Hahn Freeway and South Masters Drive, about 0.5 acres in size. Here's our location map. Here is our aerial zoom in. This is our zoning map. Surrounding uses include undeveloped land, some single-family residential, and more undeveloped to the south. Quick background on this property, again, currently zoned subdistrict 2 within PD number 535 with the D1 dry overlay. It's currently developed as a general merchandise food store, convenience store land use. Ordinance number 31372 was passed by the City Council on October 23rd, 2019, which amended the zoning ordinances of the City of Dallas and granted SUP number 2349. On November 30th, 2021, City Council approved SUP number 2349 for a 2-year period. It expired December 8th, but applicant was compliant and filed for renewal May 30th, 2023. So they request the renewal of their SUP for another 3-year period to continue sale of alcoholic beverages on the property. Other than the time limit, the applicant does not propose any changes to existing conditions or the site plan for SUP number 2349. There is a new owner of the property. Just wanted to highlight that. Here we have site photos. This is on property looking north. Also looking north. Again, looking north. This is on property looking southwest. This is on property looking south. This is on property looking west. on property looking southeast, on property looking east. This is their compliant zoning signs on property. Here is their existing site plan. Again, no changes being proposed. Staff recommendation is approval for a 3-year period.
Thank you. Questions, commissioners? Okay. Seeing none, we'll keep going. Thank you very much, Mr. Clinton. We'll go back to Mr. Bate. Case number 12, back to District 8.
All right, now the marathon for me. This is case Z223-278, an application for an R10A single-family district on property zoned in AA Agricultural District. The property is located on the southeast line of West Lawson Road, northeast of Golden Spur Road. It is approximately 11,229 square feet in size. We see it here in the far, far southeastern part of the city. This is an aerial map showing the existing property, highlighted in blue. This is the zoning map. This is an interesting one. As you see here, the highlighted property has the crosshatches or the lines through it. Across from it is AA zoning with a public school. Next to it is AA zoning as well with single family. Further southwest is an MHA district with a large manufactured home development. And then surrounding the property is a CR district that was recently approved from an AA district. It is currently undeveloped. And as you can see, it's sort of a wedge in there surrounded by this CR district. As I mentioned, it's currently zoned in AA Agricultural District and it is undeveloped. The lot has frontage on West Lawson Road, and the applicant proposes to develop the property with a 2-story single-family house. And in order to accomplish this, they are requesting the R10A single-family district. This is on West Lawson Road, looking southeast at the property in question. Looking east on Lawson Road, looking towards the southwest. Behind those trees is that, or past those trees is the AA district with a couple single-family houses. Looking northwest away from the property, we see the public school. This is right around school pickup time. And looking west, and then looking to the northeast, sort of straight down Lawson Road. These are the development standards in comparison between the existing agricultural AA district and the proposed R10A single-family district. As we see here, I believe the main reason that the applicant is requesting this change is that the development standards allow more dense and more intensive single-family home versus what agricultural allows. The front setback minimum requirement is about 20 feet shorter. The side and rear setbacks are less onerous. The minimum density is 10,000 square feet for the lot. You do have 6 feet extra of height allowed, and the lot coverage is substantially more generous compared to the AA district. And as we see, the primary uses differ. AA, as it says in the name, is agricultural, and R10A is single family. It would be worth noting as well that with that CR district surrounding it, there would be some additional standards that would be set on that CR district. Most notably that for a CR district adjacent to a residential district, there's a 20-foot setback requirement. And then residential proximity slope requirements also come into effect, where that's a 1-to-3 ratio. And I believe there's a minimum setback as well before that even kicks in. And that ratio does extend infinitely, as it were. So that would reduce some of that impact on having that CR district around it. Staff recommendation for this is approval. And open up to the chair.
Thank you, sir. Questions, commissioners? Commissioner Carpenter.
I had a question for, I think it'd be Mr. Navarez, about the prohibition of allowing residential driveways to access a divided thoroughfare. Is this going to be a solvable problem at permitting? It looks from the aerial that there are other single-family neighborhoods, single-family homes that have driveways that access Lawson Road. But the staff report does call out that residential driveways are not allowed on divided thoroughfares, and Lawson is a divided thoroughfare.
Thank you, ma'am, and we did discuss this item with, internally. Yes, you're correct. The street design manual very clearly says that single-family homes are prohibited from having access to a divided thoroughfare, and then period. And yet you drive down many streets in Dallas, and that's not the case. And so what we use at permitting is just the consistency of the block. We can't deny access to a property when they don't have an alley, for example. Or we try to pursue the construction of an alley with development, but obviously it must be roughly proportional to their development. And so if we have only one home being proposed and the alley would have to be constructed all the way to half a mile away, then for obvious reasons we work with the applicant. The short answer, no, ma'am, I don't think that this would be an issue if this property is developed as proposed. Granted, there is no median divided today. If and when the city chooses to develop or improve, what's the name, Lancaster?
It is
Lawson.
The L is Lancaster,
Lancaster.
Lawson. Lawson,
We're in the
excuse me.
L's.
If and when Lawson is upgraded to what it should be per the thoroughfare plan, then this would not be the only property that would not be in compliance with the street design manual. I know that's a bad answer because I'm essentially
No, I
telling
like
you
the answer. It's a
we
very
will not
practical
follow-
and pragmatic approach to the situation.
Thank you, that's the right word. We'll follow a practical and pragmatic approach to develop this property when they come in, depending on the circumstances.
Thank you.
Yes, you're correct. There is a section in the street design manual that prevents the city staff from accessing to a divided thoroughfare, but I don't think this would be applicable.
Thank you.
If they choose to develop within the next near future.
The surrounding property that's currently zoned as CR, is that owned by a different entity that owns this small parcel of land?
Yes, I believe it is.
So we have no clue what might be put on that large vacant lot area at this time.
From reviewing the zoning case for it, when the GZC was approved, I believe there was interest in developing some sort of fueling station, with the majority of it sent or placed much further to the northeast, closer to Lasater Road. From looking at what they had submitted in that application, I think near this property would be either a driveway or, I think mainly a driveway. So it wouldn't have as much of the intensive main development next to the residence compared to what could be there. That said, since it was a general zoning change, what was shown in there is not necessarily binding. That could change, but as I did mention, the CR district, when it is adjacent to a residential district, it does have a minimum setback of 20 feet from that residential property line. Thank you.
Any other questions, commissioners? We'll keep moving. We'll stay with you, Mr. Bates, and go to case number 13, which again has come off consent.
This is case Z223-281, an application for an amendment to specific use permit number 2276 for vehicle display, sales, and service on property zone Subdistrict 1 within Planned Development District 535, the CF Hahn Special Purpose District number 3 with a D1 liquor control overlay. It is located on the west corner of CF Hahn Freeway and Ellenwood Drive and is approximately 1.17 acres in size. On the location, we see it here in the southeast part of the city. The aerial map, the subject property, as we know, the boundary extends to the center line of the road, but the main part of the property we see here, it hits CF Hahn Service Road. This is the zoning map. We see that it is a largely industrial area with various industrial uses around it, including an industrial inside facility, a mix of industrial inside and a tower and antenna in this IM district, a CS district with outside salvage, and then within the PD as well is a undeveloped property to the southeast of the subject site. The property is currently developed with a vehicle display, sales, and service business. City Council approved the renewal of this SUP for a 2-year period for vehicle display, sales, and service use on June 9th of 2021. The SUP expired on June 9th of this year, and the applicant filed for renewal on May 16th of this year. They are requesting the renewal for a 2-year period to continue the vehicle display sales and service. They do not propose any changes to the existing conditions. There was one minor change to the site plan. It originally had a reference to using Article 10 landscaping requirements. We did recommend removal of that since the PED 535 landscaping requirements control over that regardless. And so we just wanted to make sure the site plan was cleaned up and more accurate. These are the photos of the subject site. This is on Ellenwood Drive looking west at the subject site, and then further zoomed in. Looking north, looking to the northeast away from the site, there's that undeveloped property, although you do see there is fencing there, but otherwise there are no other improvements on the land. This is on Ellenwood Drive looking south away from the property. This is the existing site plan. As we see here, there is the existing building that was in the original application way back, and then this newer building that was part of the more recent site plan that was part of the last renewal. We do have some comments on here. This case has had some concerns that have been brought up by the community, by commission. The largest being that the applicant has not met compliance with the prior site plan, citing delays due to COVID and finances. I have asked that the applicant attend the hearing today to provide more information. Their explanation was essentially that they had some issues with the contractor and were not able to implement some of these proposed improvements from the prior site plan before requesting renewal. Additionally, concerns have been raised from code compliance regarding permitting for improvements that have been made on the property, and I believe that y'all have been made aware of that through the report. That being said, staff recommendation is an approval for a 2-year period subject to amended conditions, and I'll return the floor to you, Chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Blair.
Were you, good afternoon again, good morning again.
Good morning.
Yeah, I guess I'm rushing the day away. Were you aware that there is also a Phase 2 environmental issue in this community?
I am aware of that now. I received contact from a citizen earlier in the week that had brought up some issues regarding environmental issues. I do not have much familiarity with the Phase 2 environmental impact that you mentioned, but I am aware of that now, yes.
And you are aware, you did share that there are some improvements that had not been permitted that the applicant has made, but they are unable to come into compliance with what they were supposed to do. Is that not correct?
That is correct. That first came up during our review at our internal zoning review team meeting. We had discussed this with building inspection and development services. And after that meeting, I made sure to reach out to the applicant and inform them that when we're looking at this from a land use perspective, I do think that overall this fits the existing character of the area. It's largely industrial, and looking at the aerials, for instance, we see that there are vehicle services here. There are some salvage yards, which I understand can contribute to some of these environmental issues that have come up. In this case, this is more of sales and service. I imagine it's maybe a little less impactful, but I can't really hypothesize on that too much. But regardless, I did let the applicant know that while this is certainly compatible from a land use perspective, that there are going to be concerns and issues that come up from this code compliance perspective. I did ask them to reach out to development services to begin that permitting process, to get them into compliance, to make sure they trigger those landscaping inspections as well. And they did send me a timeline for how they anticipate to complete the original improvements that were indicated in the site plan, but I can't speak to whether or not they have spoken to development services. They did indicate that they will be here for the hearing today, and I hope that they will be able to answer those questions and concerns.
Thank you. I'll hold the rest of my questions for them when they do show up, because they didn't show up at the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll see them this afternoon. Commissioner Carpenter.
Normally, we don't, I'm trying to think back, but normally we don't vote for approval of SUP renewals if their site plan is not in compliance. I mean, that's one of the reasons why they're, even if they're on auto renewal, they come back to us for that. Is this on our docket for approval because these issues did not come up until the ZRT meeting? I mean, this just seems to be a change in policy, so that's what I'm questioning.
Understood. I can't speak to the specific policy in that case. My approach with this was that, in speaking with the applicant, I understood that they had run into certain, let's say, roadblocks and unforeseen circumstances regarding meeting compliance with that site plan. Ultimately, I wanted to give them a chance to say, okay, I understand that this has happened, and I think that you ought to bring this to the commission and explain why you haven't met compliance with that. And with a 2-year period, it'll give them the chance to meet compliance with that site plan and bring it up for another review. And if at that point they still haven't made an effort to reach compliance, then I think that would certainly merit review and potential change to that.
Can you share with us what the magnitude is of the unpermitted improvements or new structures they have built on the site?
Certainly. So let me try and zoom in here. My understanding is the improvements that have not received a permit were the new structure that is here in the center. There's a metal building that was erected, and if I'm not mistaken, the additional paving that they put in there. Both of those improvements, to my understanding, did not receive a permit from BI. In addition to that, there are portions of the site plan, the ones that haven't been implemented, I believe sidewalks and some landscaping and trees. Those are the two fields of things. There's some stuff that's been done that wasn't permitted and some stuff that hasn't been done.
All right, thank you, understood. Appreciate it.
Stick around, Commissioner Blair.
Commissioner Carpenter just triggered a question. So can you go back, do you know when this applicant when this location was made into a car dealership or car sales and service?
I would have to pull up the prior case and get the.
Or better yet, do you know if this is their first SUP renewal or their second SUP renewal?
It is the second renewal. So the first renewal was 2 years ago, and that was when they brought up what was a new site plan and is now the existing site plan with this additional metal structure, the larger display area, and the pavement that was added on. So that was the new site plan at the time. Now it's the existing site plan. So that was when they first proposed these changes that they, in some cases, have yet to meet compliance with.
So can I assume that if this is their second, that they have been at this location for a minimum of 6 years, correct? If this is their second SUP renewal, that means that's 2 years, and then 2 years before that, and then they got their initial. So a minimum of 6 years, correct?
I believe it would be a minimum of 4 years if the original SUP was for 2 years, right?
Yeah, I can give the SUP breakdown real quick. It was originally approved, the original SUP, February 28th, 2018 for a 3-year period. And then it was renewed on June 9th, 2021. So it's been 5 years since this SUP was initially approved.
So if it's been 5 years, would it not be safe to assume they know the process? And you know, you can't speak for them, but okay, so I'm following up with Commissioner Carpenter said about approving or setting this at the standard to approve something that is not in compliance with their site plan. I'll ask the applicant. Thank you.
Very well, thank you.
Commissioner Hampton.
Thank you. And I just want to follow up on one item because I think I heard two different things. So in our docket on page 13.7, there's a plan that's noted existing site plan. That was the site plan for the last renewal. Is that correct?
Correct.
The structures at the center and the adjacent parking, and again, call it the center, was constructed without a permit, but it was shown in the last SUP renewal.
Correct.
Okay.
So that part of it is in compliance. There's some additional parts of the site plan that I think were omitted when I put in the screenshot that shows some sidewalk improvements that were required, I believe through the landscaping and buffering requirements. Those haven't been implemented yet.
Okay, and I know there's other reviews going on, but I just wanted to make sure I had heard correctly what was labeled existing reflected only the SUP renewal. There's other issues related to that plan.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Wheeler.
So staff is recommending an approval on an SUP that is not in compliance?
Yes, the reason I'm recommending the approval is so that the applicant can continue to operate and give them basically one more chance to enter into full compliance with the original existing site plan. As I mentioned, there were what I would consider extenuating circumstances that made it difficult for them to reach compliance originally with a 2-year time period. And so I'm recommending approval so that they are able to get into compliance, demonstrate that at the next renewal, and at that point, if it still hasn't been done, then I think a different recommendation would be made at that point.
And this is a for-profit business, right?
I believe so, yes.
And so at the original SUP, they were in compliance, am I correct?
The original SUP, I believe they were in compliance when it was first issued in 2018.
Sorry, I don't need to be the stage mom, but I had the previous SUP renewal for this one. It was not in compliance at that time either.
Okay.
But was it original at first, in the beginning?
When
the first SUP?
When the SUP was first
original?
approved, obviously the business had not located there because it didn't have zoning approval yet. When that first SUP was approved, they said, this is the proposed site plan, this is what we're going to do to develop the site. 3 years go by, they have not developed the site in full compliance with the site plan that they proposed. So with the SUP renewal that I managed, we did some pretty significant overhaul of that site plan to show everything that they were planning to do with the site. As Martin said, it includes this second building and this other parking area next to the display area along the frontage road. 2 more years go by and they still haven't done that.
So why are we not setting them off or giving them a warning or something saying, hey, we can't approve this, we can't even go before CPC until you all comply because we've already given you all a chance and it's post-COVID. And this is a for-profit business that is not planning on going out of business. So maybe if it was a nonprofit, we could see, but this is a for-profit.
Well, I understand the concerns.
Business.
And
So we are giving this right here leads. Do you believe that this leads way to bad actors in SUPs? So if you want an SUP, you comply. You don't get to keep making an excuse 2 and 3 SUPs. Okay.
Understood. And I think what I'm looking at here with this approval is that ultimately we are looking at the land uses and the compatibility with the land uses in the area. In terms of that, through that lens, I do think that this is compatible with the area. And from a compliance standpoint, that ultimately does fall into code compliance in terms of things like the permitting, things like the improvements that need to be made. I think that ultimately I look at it and I think this works with the area overall. I want to make sure that they get into compliance with this site plan that they have. And that's why I think that giving it the 2-year period will allow them to get into compliance and meet those requirements.
Because I'm trying to understand this. We know that that area has car lots, and that if they were compliant, they would fit in. But do you believe that this can set up for other SUPs? Because if it's not compliant, communities are affected. And our job is to make sure that everyone complies. The chance was last time, not this time. So, yes, it fits in, but the chance was last time. Because if the finances is still out of order, then the business don't need to be there. Okay.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir. Sir
Thank
Ruben,
you.
please.
Chair Schmidt. I want to make sure that I sort of understand the historical practices of staff versus the plan commission on SUP cases. Is it true that in granting or denying an SUP, one thing that this body, the CPC, has considered in the past is whether an applicant has complied with the terms of their SUP or has not done so?
Yeah, I can kind of feel that one. Yeah, so staff's concern with a case like this, because all SUPs require a site plan, our concern is whether or not the site is in compliance with that site plan, especially when that SUP comes in for renewal. So when a SUP renewal like this is assigned a case planner, one of the things that they're required to do during their site visit is ensure that the site is in compliance with the site plan. If it's not, modifications can be made to the site plan, as was done with the last SUP renewal of this one, or we may have to make a different recommendation than we would otherwise. As Martin summarized, as the case planner, staff's thought on this one is to give them another 2 years to get in compliance with their site plan, and then they would have to come back through the full zoning process for reconsideration. Now, that's just staff's recommendation. Obviously, the commission does not need to follow that recommendation. There's varying viewpoints on that.
Thanks.
Thank you all. Okay, we'll keep moving.
This is case number Z223-283. This is an application for an amendment to deed restrictions, originally Z934-263, on property zoned to CS Commercial Service District. It is located on the southeast corner of Davenport Road and Winding Creek Road and is approximately 0.41 acres. Here on the location map, it is in the far north part of the city. The aerial map showing the subject site, it is the northern part of this little development right here. The zoning map with the subject site in question with the deed restrictions as well. As we see around the area, there's a large amount of single-family houses with R7.5A zoning, TH2A zoning, and a PD to the north as well. Then to the south and southwest is the CS district with a variety of office and office showroom or warehouse uses. This property, it's CS Commercial Service. It has this deed restriction Z934-263. And currently contains a commercial structure and a surface parking lot. The applicant proposes to repurpose the property for use as a synagogue or church in the technical term with code and as a child care facility. And as such, request amendment to this DR so that it would permit the church and child care facility land uses on the property. These are the various existing deed restrictions that are in here. I'll get to the main part, which is that currently the only main uses permitted on the property are office showroom, warehouse, and electronic service center, and personal service use limited to a maximum of 1,000 square feet in floor area. I do note that there are various restrictions regarding landscaping and buffering and fences that currently exist in order to help smooth that transition from the CS district to the residential district and that PD to the north. Here we are on Davenport Road looking east at the subject site. And then looking southeast, the subject site is here on the left part of the photo, and then in the center, in the background, is a separate property. Looking northeast at the subject site, then looking west away from the subject site on Davenport Road. Looking north on Davenport Road, so that's the corner with Winding Creek Road in the background of the photo. And then looking southwest, there we see that CS district and those offices and office showrooms that are to the southwest. On Winding Creek Road looking east, the subject site is to the right of the photo. And then on Winding Creek Road looking north away from the property towards that PD, And finally, on the southeast corner, looking northwest, staff's recommendation is approval of amendment to deed restrictions, Z934263, as volunteered by the applicant.
Thank you, sir. Questions, commissioners? Okay, no questions. We'll keep moving. Case number 15. Mr. Bate, you got 6 cases in a row there.
Like I said, it
You'll
was the
take a nap
marathon.
after this one. He's going to take a nap after this.
Right, yeah, a little baptism by fire today. All right, this is case Z223-284. It is a request for a new specific use permit for a monastery on property zoned R7.5A, single-family district. It is located on the northeast corner of Fairport Road and Long Branch Lane, and the subject site is approximately 10.34 acres in size. Here on the location map, we see it is in the southeastern part of the city. This is the aerial map showing the property. As we see, it is currently developed with a single-family structure in the southeast corner of the property, and then the vast majority of it is undeveloped with a large amount of tree coverage. The current zoning map for it, we see it as an R7.5A district, and all around it is R7.5A with single-family developments. To the north is a PD 840, which has a school. As I mentioned, the property is currently developed with a single-family house, and the owner proposes developing the site into a monastery to allow for clergy residence, as well as activities that are related to religious beliefs, and are requesting this SUP to allow development of this monastery and use of it as a monastery. This is on Fairport Road, looking north at the subject site, and then looking northwest, looking southwest away from the subject site. This is looking to the east. This is on Long Branch Lane looking north, so this is over on the western side of the property. And then looking east on Long Branch Lane. This is looking south on Long Branch Lane, so to the right of the photo, this is west of the property, we see it's undeveloped. And then to the northwest, again, that undeveloped land, and then also a small church in the background of the photo. This is the existing site plans. This is as it is developed today. It's pretty large. Well, it's a large photo. It's small scale. So I'll zoom in right here. But we see that there's an existing building, the driveway, and this walkway here. The applicant does, whoa, get out of zoom mode. I don't get it to stop doing that. I'm usually more technically inclined. There we go. And this is the proposed site plan, which the SUP would follow. I'll zoom in again. But they're proposing an addition to the property, which would be used variously as a center, a gathering for meditation, learning, a small pavilion, and then maintain the existing building here. Staff's recommendation is approval for a 3-year period, subject to site plan and conditions.
Thank you. Commissioner Blair? Okay, we'll take, this will taken off consent, commissioners. Any questions on Commissioner Hampton?
Thank you. I just had one question. I noted in your presentation that there was a consideration of religious activities. Is there any indication there would be more than, individual visitors to the site? Was that anything that was just considered in how the operations will unfold?
Mm-hmm. We did discuss this with the applicant, and he indicated that it wouldn't be a particularly large amount of gatherings. He currently does essentially use it as a place for gathering for, I guess you could say, Buddhist practices and religious activities. It was spurred, I believe this was originally spurred when the applicant wanted to develop this, put this new property in there, and he indicated that he thought, this wouldn't be in compliance. I do use this as my residence in addition to these gatherings, and so he wanted to request this SUP to make sure that he was, following the spirit of the ordinances. But there wasn't an indication that it would be particularly large or busy, and frankly, I think it would mostly occur on weekends rather than throughout the week.
And just one follow-up, and again, it's clearly a large site and a lot of available area. It's just the size of the addition raised a question for me, and so I was just trying to understand if there were any other conditions or considerations that staff had evaluated in their conversations with the applicant.
There weren't, that wasn't evaluated, no.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall.
There's currently a person living in the house?
Yes, that is the applicant.
The applicant, and a single person or a family?
Currently a single person.
Okay. I'm a little bit, when I think of a monastery, I think a bunch of people live in a monastery, but you can have one person in a monastery?
Yes, as I understand it, the code does not specify the minimum number of people at which point it would be considered a monastery. It's more of a allowance of unrelated people who are members of a religious order to live in a structure on a property.
Okay, thank you.
And he did indicate perhaps in the future there might be additional members who would live there, but currently it is just himself.
Any other questions on this item, Commissioners? Again, it has been taken off consent, will be heard individually. We'll move on to case number 16, and back to Mr. Clinton. Thank you, Mr. Bay.
Thank you.
All right, this is case Z234125. An application for a specific use permit for the sale of alcoholic beverages in conjunction with a restaurant without drive-in or drive-through service on property zone community retail, CR district with a D1 overlay, located on the west side of South Buckner Boulevard between North Scene Road and Blossom Lane. Approximately 0.95 acres in size. Here is our location map. This is an aerial. Here's our zoning map. Surrounding uses are commercial retail. So currently developed as a restaurant and shopping plaza. Hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. Again, the request is for an SUP of the restaurant to sell alcoholic beverages in a D1 dry liquor control overlay during their hours of operation. The specific use permit would expire in 5 years. But is eligible for automatic renewal for additional 5-year periods pursuant to Section 51A-4.219 of Chapter 51A of the City Code. Here we have site photos. This is on South Buckner looking toward the property. This is on property looking toward South Buckner. This is on property looking north. This is on property looking south. Here is the site plan. And staff recommendation is approval for a 5-year period.
Thank you, sir. One quick question for you, Mr. I know that the applicant had requested to stay on the consent, but by requesting a 2-year with no auto, would that change staff's recommendation, or would we just pull it off?
No, that wouldn't change it.
Okay, so then we'll just pull that one off consent. It was already up. Thought we might put it back on. Any other questions on this item, Commissioners? Commissioner Carpenter.
Yeah, my question is about the rationale for awarding auto renewals for a first-time application for an SUP. It's not something we seem to generally do.
I understand. And again, this is just laying out the terms of the SUP. They are eligible. The staff recommendation is just approval of the initial 5-year period.
I'll ask this as an are you aware, because that's what I have to do as a question. But I mean, are you aware that our concern tends to be that the SUP will go with the property, and so awarding auto renewals at the outset would give a ticket to perpetuity potentially, even if this operator or a later operator proves to be a nuisance to the neighborhood.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Hall.
Does the restaurant currently serve alcoholic beverages?
No.
No. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on this item, commissioners? Okay, we'll go to case number 17. This has been briefed and heard before. Do we have any updates on this one? Ms. Garza.
Item number 17 is Z223179. No changes have been made to the request since the last hearing. No, not that I'm aware of.
Questions, Commissioner Herbert?
No questions, just points of clarification. Liliana, were you aware there was a community meeting held on this project, this case?
No, I was not aware.
Okay, thank you. During that community meeting, I think some things were offered, and the representative may have some deed restrictions to offer up to you, but he'll talk to you about that offline, I'm sure.
I was not aware.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Herbert. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay. Then, commissioners, a miracle has happened, and we are finished with the briefing. It is 11:51 a.m. Let's grab our lunch and be back in 10 or 15 minutes for the Forward Dallas update.
And one of my colleagues reminded me that I did not request a raucous round of applause for our two new senior planners presenting today. Yeah. Thank you. They both brought 6 cases each to their first meeting, which is a major accomplishment. So congrats on that. Thank you, guys.
It's 11:51 a.m. That concludes the briefing of the Dallas City Planning Commission. We'll be back at 12:30. Enjoy your lunch, commissioners. We'll be back for the briefing here in 15 minutes.